Live from the New York Broadcasting Center, this is 42.9 DZBR Radio Patrol!
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Miss Mary Claire.
And I'm Mr. Pasta, your boy next door. To all the people from all around the world,
This is 42.9 DZBR Radio Patrol, where the news comes first.
These are your headlines for today.
Senate votes 13 to 8 for RH bill reading on final reading.
Nancy Pelosi and Democratic lawmakers unveiled the Paycheck Fairness Act in an effort to close the gender wage gap.
New York puts in measures to protect access to abortion even if Roe v. Wade is overturned.
Uber faces sex discrimination case in UK.
So, Ms. Mary Claire, I've heard that you went to the Philippines, where particularly?
Well, yes, I stayed there in Manila for about 3 days. It was actually a great experience, I must say.
How was your stay there?
People are very welcoming. They're very hospitable.
So, speaking of the Philippines, voting 13 to 8 with no abstention, the Senate passed a controversial reproductive health bill on third and final reading. And here is Aljan Shapiro for DZBR Radio Patrol.
The Senate on Monday passed a controversial reproductive health bill on third and final reading on voting 13-8 with no abstention. The 13 senators who voted in favor of the bill were Edgardo Angara, Joker Arroyo, Alan Peter Cayetano, Pia Cayetano, Miriam Defensor Santiago, Franklin Dillon, Francis Escudero, Teofisto Gingon III, Panfilo Lacson, Lauren Legarda, Ferdinand Marcos Jr., Francis Pangilinan, and Ralph Recto. The 8 who voted against it were Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile, Senate Pro Tempore Jose Estrada, Majority Leader Vicente Soto, the Senators Gringo Honasan, Aquilino Pimentel III, Manuel Villar, Ramon Revilla Jr., and Antonio Trillanes IV. Senators Serge Osmeña III and Lito Lapid were absent during the voting. Arroyo said he voted yes conditionally. He noted that the original versions of the Senate and the House of Representatives were onerous and so provocative that one, he said, could not expect the Catholic Church to surrender its doctrinal and moral position on the life and death issue without putting up a fight. And to address those weaknesses, Arroyo said the Senate introduced reasonable amendments to make sure the measure was less dogmatic, less provocative, and more constitutionally accepted. Meanwhile, Enrile, who has been against the measure, said he was uncertain about the future of the country with the passage of the bill. But he said his conscience and notion of what is the long-term interests of the country impelled him to cast a no-vote bill on the bill. This is Aljan reporting.
Thank you for the news, Mr. Aldo Shapiro. A lot is happening in the Philippines lately, don't you think, Mr. Pasta? What can you say about it?
Well, for my opinion, this could actually cause some outrage to some people. I mean, this violates right to life.
Yes.
What people need is proper education and proper orientation.
Oh, very well said, Mr. Pasta. We now head to Washington, D.C. as Nancy Pelosi and Democratic lawmakers unveiled the Paycheck Fairness Act, a measure intended to strengthen equal pay protections for women and an effort to close the gender wage gap. For everyone's knowledge, there's an International Bill of Rights for Women, or most commonly called as Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, or CEDAW. This serves as a standard in giving male and female equal rights. It defines discrimination against women as any distinction, exclusion, or restriction made on the basis of sex which has the effect or purpose of impairing or nullifying the recognition, enjoyment, or exercise by women, irrespective of their marital status, on the basis of equality of men and women, of human rights and fundamental freedoms in the political, economic, social, cultural, civil, or any other field. In line with this, the The signatories of this convention are obligated to uphold the standards of equality provided in each article. Doing such involves the elimination of any and all discriminatory laws and practices, the suppression of the exploitation of women, and the implementation of temporary special measures to accelerate women's equality. Here is Robin Sherbatsky for DZBR Radio Patrol.
Last January 30, 2019, Nancy Pelosi, U.S. Speaker of the House of Representatives, along with Democratic lawmakers, unveiled the Paycheck Fairness Act. A conference was held by the House Democrats at U.S. Capitol, Washington, D.C. to introduce the Paycheck Fairness Act. The proposed bill, which the Democrats have tried to pass for over 20 years, would add protections to the Equal Pay Act of 1963 and the Fair Labor Standards Act. It will attempt to close the gender wage gap and strengthen equal pay protections for women. This act will ban salary secrecy, increase punishments for employers who retaliate against workers, and allow workers to sue for pay discrimination. Pelosi believes that a women's success will also bring America's success. The bill's reintroduction marks the 10th anniversary of President Obama signing the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act. Actually, Ledbetter, the defendant of the landmark, attended the event along with Washington Senator Patty Murray, Rosa DeLura of Connecticut, and other Democratic representatives. The Grand Old Party and Republicans seemed to call the bill unnecessary to be passed. According to the Grand Old Party, the bill would make it easier for workers to sue firms over pay inequality and would lead to unnecessary lawsuits. Republicans had also disapproved of the bill as it would only discourage companies from hiring women. However, Ledbetter and DeLura beg to differ. According to them, pay discrimination should not be any more subjected to future generations of women. Women and men working in the same job should be paid the same. They think that now is the time to pay people what they are worth and not how little they are desperate enough to accept. This is Robin Sherbatsky reporting.
DZBR Radio Patrol will be back after a short break.
Do you think that RH bill is murder? RH bill aims to reduce the number of abortion rate and the mortality rate of infants.
Get educated. Promote wellness.
And we are back again for DZBR Radio Patrol. Moving on to the next news, New York puts in measures to protect access to abortion even if Roe v. Wade is overturned. Here is Ross Sylvester for DZBR Radio Patrol.
New York puts in measures to protect access to abortion, even if Roe v. Wade is overturned. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo signed into law a bill that protects abortion rights in the state. On the 46th anniversary of Roe v. Wade, New York State passed a law to protect women's access to abortion if the historic case is overturned. With the signing of this bill, we are sending a clear message that whatever happens in Washington, women in New York will always have the fundamental right to control their own body, said Governor Cuomo after signing New York's Reproductive Health Act on Tuesday night. Not only will the law preserve access to abortions, it also removes abortion from the state's criminal code. This would protect doctors or medical professionals who perform abortions from criminal prosecution. The law also now allows medical professionals who are not doctors to perform abortions in New York. The law also addresses late-term abortions. Under New York's Reproductive Health Act, they can be performed after 24 weeks if the fetus is not viable or when necessary to protect the life of the mother. The bill was first introduced in 2006 but was blocked for consideration by the Republican-controlled state Senate. With Democrats now in the majority, The bill passed the legislature Tuesday night and was signed into law.
Thank you for that, Mr. Ross Sylvester. Well, what can you say, Miss Mary Claire? I think it's a very interesting topic to talk about.
Yes, well, I understand that people, especially women, want to have their freedom in choosing in these types of matters. But the fact that the law allows the abortion to be performed by medical professionals and midwives other than licensed physicians shows that the act, which I think isn't truly thought through.
I understand your point. I somehow agree to it also.
Yes. Moving on to the next news. Uber faces sex discrimination in UK. Here is Ms. Ruth Antudo reporting for DZBR Radio Patrol.
Uber faces another legal battle in London after a female driver issued sex discrimination proceedings against the ride-hailing app, saying the way it operates puts women at risk. Uber is trying to retain its license to operate in London after regulators threatened to ban it. Separately, its lawyers will begin an appeal on Wednesday against an employment tribunal ruling last year that found its drivers were workers owed a minimum wage and tribunal pay. The sex discrimination case has been brought by the GMB union on behalf of a 44-year-old woman who has not been named by her lawyers. She claims she no longer feels safe driving for Uber at night, and that Uber drivers are not told their passengers' destinations until they are already in the car. Sex discrimination case has been brought by the GMB union on behalf of a 44-year-old woman who has not been named by her lawyers. She claims she no longer feels safe driving for Uber at night, and that Uber drivers are not told their passengers' destinations until they are already in the car, so the driver cannot easily avoid journeys to remote or unsafe areas. Nigel McKay, a lawyer for Layday, the firm representing the driver, said, "We believe that Uber's policies do not do enough to protect female drivers. In particular, if a driver is faced with the threat of assault from a passenger and asks him to leave, she risks complaints and low ratings with no right of reply, and ultimately may lose her job." Meanwhile, the company launches its appeal on Wednesday against the ruling last October that its drivers are not independent contractors, but workers. If it does not win the appeals process, it will probably have to make significant changes to its business model. Uber has hired Dina Rose QC to argue its case. The company plans to argue that its approach of treating drivers as self-employed is nothing new, since many traditional minicab firms are doing the same thing. This is Ruth Antudok reporting.
Thank you for the news, Ms. Ruth Antudo. DZBR Radio Patrol will be back in a short while.
Ma, tingnan mo, Mami, oh. Perfect ako sa exam. Mami. Mami, tingnan mo. Perfect ako sa exam. Daddy! Perfect ako sa exam, oh. Hindi ako pinapansin ni Mami. Hindi ako pinapansin.
Limang taong gulang ako nung ginaya ako ni Kuya sa may lababo. Sabi niya di daw masakit pero nagdugo ako.
10 taong gulang ako nung hinawakan ng driver ang balakang ko. Nagreklamo ako pero di din naman ako pinaniwalaan. 15 taong gulang ako nung tinanong ng mga lalaki sa daan kung pwede nila akong iuwi. Hindi ako pumayag kaya sinabihan nila akong pokpok at malandi.
Ng taxi sa harap ko. Ang sabi ni Manong, siya na daw ang maghahatid sa akin. Pero, hindi na ako nakauwi.
25 taong gulang ako noong sinubukan akong hubaran sa LRT. Umayaw ako, pero ang sagot niya sa akin, di bakit ka nagsuot ng ganyan?
Ilang babae pa ba ang kailangan mawalan ng kinabukasan?
And that's it for today. I'm Mr. Pasa, your boy next door.
And I'm Ms. Mary Claire. This is 42.9 DZBR Radio Patrol, where the news comes first.
5 taong gulang ako nung ginaya ako ni kuya sa may lababo. Sabi niya di daw masakit pero nagdugo ako.
10 taong gulang ako nung hinawakan ng driver ang balakang ko. Nagreklamo ako pero di din naman ako pinaniwalaan.
15 taong gulang ako nung tinanong ng mga lalaki sa daan kung pwede nila akong iuwi. Hindi ako pumayag kaya sinabihan nila akong pokpok at malandi.
Ng taxi sa harap ko. Ang sabi ni Manong, siya na daw ang maghahatid sa akin. Pero, hindi na ako nakauwi.
25 taong gulang ako noong sinubukan akong hubaran sa LRT. Umayaw ako pero ang sagot niya sa akin, di bakit ka nagsuot ng ganyan?
Ilang babae pa ba ang kailangan mawalan ng kinabukasan?